Welcome back to Cinematic Cravings. Netflix clearly has no plans to slow down this year because 2025 is shaping up to be the year of epic comebacks. From Stranger Things Season 5 to Bridgerton Season 4 and The Witcher Season 4, we've got some incredible updates to talk about. Each one opens the door to a different world, but they all share one thing in common: characters who are growing, changing, and getting closer to their final chapters. Before we dive in, here's a quick reminder: if you love series updates like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because over the next few weeks, we've got tons of exclusive content coming your way, and I don't want you to miss a single thing. All right, let's get started. This time, Netflix is taking over the entire holiday season. The season is arriving in 3 waves: 1/4 on November 26, 5/7 on December 25, and the finale on December 31. Plus, every episode is feature length. The team literally says 8 movies. So this isn't a weekend binge. It's a farewell show that runs from November to the last day of the year, with the pace rising step by step. Set your watch list now, because each volume is going to spark a fresh wave of theories. The story opens in the fall of 1987. Hawkins, scarred by the rifts, is effectively under military quarantine, and the government is hunting Eleven, so she's forced back into hiding. The team's goal is clear: find Vecna and stop him. But Vecna is missing. His plans and location are unknown. The official synopsis also highlights that familiar pressure closing in on the town as the anniversary of Will's disappearance approaches. That whispers this final season isn't just a monster hunt, it's a season of confronting the echo of the first sin. The teaser and the poster that dropped on the 9th anniversary set the tone perfectly. A red, stormy sky, the crew on their bikes, and Vecna's ominous silhouette looming overhead. The trailer cuts off with Will's throat-shredding run, which signals not just the level of danger, but Will's role this season as a kind of psychic barometer. The Demogorgons are still lethal, but this time the human factor, military, panic, the obsession with control has been added to the supernatural. In short, Hawkins is besieged from both inside and out. Now, let's see who's in the cast, shall we? The core team is back in full. Joyce, Hopper, Eleven, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Will, Max, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, and joining us, the legendary Linda Hamilton shows up as Dr. K. Alongside her, Nell Fisher as Holly Wheeler, Jake Connolly as Derek Turnbow, and Alex Bro as Lieutenant Akers. In short, the nostalgia muscle is fully flexed, and the excitement level climbs with the new faces. There's also the episode titles in the mythology front. We open with The Crawl, then episode 2 is The Vanishing of, deliberately left incomplete, followed by The Turnbow Trap, Sorcerer, Shock Jock, Escape from Camazotz, The Bridge, and finally, The Right Side Up. It's said that this season will deliver the remaining answers from the Duffer Brothers' 25-page upside-down document they've kept since. Season 1, in particular, Camazotz and Right Side Up, hint at flipping the rules of the universe on their head. We'll talk in a bit about why they matter for the theories. Let's unpack the Will side a little. You can tell that Run, scream in the teaser, isn't just a random jump scare, right? The official synopsis specifically marks the anniversary of Will's disappearance. That suggests Will might be not only the emotional center this season, but also an antenna that triggers events. If there's a resonance between that red sky pressing down on Hawkins and Will's senses, it looks like the crew will be taking their cues from him at every step. Plus, with the government hunting Eleven and narrowing her room to move, the team might rely even more on Will's inner voice as their guide in the field. In short, in the final season, Will has the potential to move from first victim to the heart of the battle plan. Things get even juicier on the mythology front. You know how they've been saying the remaining questions from that 25-page upside-down document the Duffers wrote years ago will be answered this season? The episode titles are like the cipher key for that. The Right Side Up winks directly at the idea of flipping the world back around. As the rules of the upside down are revealed, it might become technically possible to turn the universe right side up again. Escape from Camazotz invokes a term that pop culture often ties to Bat's darkness. Ever since Eddie's bat scene, that image has been pulsing through the show's veins. If the final move plays with the fundamental building blocks of the universe, Having both of these titles in the same season isn't a coincidence. In other words, we're not just watching monster fights, we're watching a hack into the software of the world. Now, let's get to that famous time loop reset theory. The Upside Down being frozen on November 6, 1983 has been a clue from the start. Is it possible to go back and tweak the moment of origin? Stranger Things doesn't use a time machine. It bends time with psychic doors, journeys through the mind, and echoes of alternate dimensions. If Eleven's bridges and Vecna's mental battlegrounds make it possible to touch 1983, loosening even one screw from the lab's original sins could change the present. The counter-argument says this isn't real-time travel. It's a shadow copy of a moment. But a thematic reset in the final season, at least a move that reframes a critical knot, doesn't feel far-fetched at all. The Eddie equals Cass part is, in my opinion, the most adrenaline-pumping possibility. In DD, Cass is Vecna's right hand who ultimately betrays his master with that critical stab in the back. When you combine Eddie's bloody goodbye against the bats, the vampiric transformation vibes, and Vecna's power to reshape something using shadow particles, the stage looks set. Even though the Duffers said Eddie is dead, that doesn't slam the door shut. Because the point isn't the exact same Eddie coming back. It's a version of Eddie reshaped in the dark who switches sides at the finale with a spark of memory. Dramatically, it's perfect. Closure for Dustin's grief and Vecna being punished by the very darkness he created. The structure of the season changes the game entirely. 3 separate volumes, each with feature-length episodes, means a mini-finale feeling with every drop. And a fresh wave of theories after every finale. This tempo is perfect for telling the Hawking story in rich, satisfying chunks. First, the manhunt and the tableau of chaos, then the personal reckonings, and finally, the big confrontation. A starter like the Crawl conjures the team literally clawing their way through the rubble into a new status quo. Then that deliberate blank in the vanishing of is a slick move that points to both mystery and a missing name, or a piece of information that vanishes without a miss. Trace. In short, the release plan and the titles feel designed to lull us with faux breathers, only to hit us with something bigger in the next wave. Let's not underestimate the human factor. Militer Cornantine builds a second layer of threat in Hawkins alongside the supernatural. The name Doctor. K evokes a hardline intellect representing the state with medical, scientific legitimacy. Lontan Acres could be the face of the command chain on the ground. As the hunt for 11 intensifies, the barriers the government sets up will test not only the team, but also civilian solidarity in town. When I hear shock jock, I immediately think of the loud radio culture of the 80s. Maybe fake news, panic, or the opposite. An underground broadcast that helps the team guide each other. Point is, this season isn't just about monsters. It's also a war over information, control, and propaganda. On the character front, the emotional stakes are sky high. Hopper and Joyce look poised to face the possibility of a normal life one last time while trying to protect the town and the team. The Steve, Nancy, Jonathan triangle has to finally answer the question that's been simmering for years. Who grew alongside whom? Otherwise, the finale's emotional punch will feel incomplete. Robin's storyline with Vicky could walk a razor's edge. The town isn't a place to flirt anymore. It's time for escape plans and honest confessions. Lucas's hope for Max isn't just a romantic motivation. It feels like the symbol of the team's we don't give up reflex. And Dustin, where he places his grief over Eddie and the single brave move he might make in the finale could change the feel of the entire season. The visual language is telling us a lot. The poster's red sky and Vecna hanging overhead say the Upside Down has stopped being a leak and has become the landscape. That's not just a color palette choice. It means fear has turned into everyday life. In a tableau like that, the title The Bridge could mark the team moving as a single body for the last time, mending broken bonds, strengthening weak links, and breathing in the same rhythm before the final leap. And yes, the right side up whispers that topsy-turvy moment we've all been waiting for. What if the world finally turns right side up? Even the possibility doubles the emotional weight of the finale. 11's path is also very clear. Once the hunt begins, our hero will have to do more than hide. She'll have to redefine her power. As we saw in Season 4, her victory isn't just hitting harder. It's remembering what she wants to protect and who she's fighting for. In a season where will works like an antenna, Eleven's greatest strength might not be being the door all by herself, but connecting to the right heart at the right moment. That's why the psychic resonance she'll build with Will could become the key to the final strategy. If the finale truly brings everyone the full party together, that bond calibrates the entire battle plan. In Volume 114, I think they'll set the table and kick off the hunt. With the crawl, we're literally crawling out of the wreckage into the new order. Then that deliberately unfinished. The vanishing of mystery might lead the crew down false trails. The moment you say the Turnbow trap, alarm bells go off in my head. Imagine a snare centered on Derek Turnbow, set by the government or Vecna. If the team fractures, the game's over. So the main test of the first 4 episodes is staying together. We'll feel the gloom of 1,987 soldiers patrolling the streets and the town's growing paranoia all through this block. Volume 2, 5-7 means rising tension. Shock Jock brings to mind that provocative radio, TV culture of the 80s, and a war over information misdirection. Panic, even deliberate provocation. The crew might have to choose whose voice to trust. Escape from Camazotz looks like a literal descent into the heart of darkness. Picture a journey into the upside-down source code through the Bat Darkness mythology. By the time we hit the bridge, it's the test of moving as one, repairing broken bonds, sinking breaths before the final leap. The bridge is either built or we all fall. Volume 3 is just a single episode, but the title says it all, the right side up. This is either turning the world right side up at last, or at least pushing the leak back and rewriting the rules. If the time loop reset line is going to connect to something, it connects here. The Upside Down's echo, fixed to 1,983, either becomes a door or it closes. There is no winning without paying a price. The official synopsis says, everyone, the full party, while also telling us to brace for some goodbyes. The feeling of the finale won't just be about defeating the monster. It'll be about remembering who we are and who we are together. How the Will and Max arcs close will determine the heart of the season. On Will's side, 2 lines converge, his identity journey and that unsettling tie to the mind flayer Vecna. If Will works like an antenna, the psychic resonance he builds with 11 could be the key to the plan. On Max's side, waking up isn't a miracle. It's an engineering feat with a cost. If 11's mind bridges, Lucas's unwavering hope, and the team's refuse to quit reflects all fire at once, Max comes back and that return could be the first time Vecna truly retreats. If the Eddie cast card hits the table, Dustin's goodbye closes with a spark of heroism. If not, Dustin's own choice, swallowing his fear and taking one step for the team, becomes the emotional center of the finale. As we hit the home stretch, here's the frame I have in mind. The power of Stranger Things is turning 80s nostalgia into right now. So the goodbye won't just be about shutting a portal. It'll remark where families, friendships, and growing up began. The red that the teaser drops over us is the color of the fear we've carried for years. The only way to clear that sky in the end is for everyone to put their hands under the weight at the same time. If there's such a thing as one last adventure, it's exactly this: walking toward fear together and closing the door on whichever side together. Now let's move on to the latest updates about Bridgerton.
Benedict and Sophie's first moment. All right, let's admit it. The moment the first photos from this season dropped, we all kind of froze in front of our screens for a few seconds, didn't we? Benedict standing there at the masquerade ball, Sophie showing up with that silver mask. I mean, we're not just watching their first meeting, we're feeling it. Because this season isn't just your typical love story. There's something about them that makes you go, I want to feel that. That ballroom scene, incredible. Might already be my favorite. And Eloise and Penelope, the girls are back. After all that drama, seeing them side by side again seriously warmed our hearts. Last season was rough for them, but now they seem stronger, closer even. I'm totally getting the we've grown, made mistakes, but we're still like sisters vibe. And honestly, that's one of the most beautiful things about Bridgerton. Relationships aren't always picture perfect, but they're real. As for the new characters, Rosamund and Posey Lee are bringing a whole new energy to this season, especially their mother, Araminta. Oh, she is ambitious. Rosamund is basically a mini version of her, calculated, ambitious, wants to control everything. But Posey, she's more naive, sweeter, and yeah, kind of a scattered soul. This dynamic looks like it's going to be super interesting. Fun, for sure, but definitely dramatic. I'm going back to the masquerade ball because, seriously, that scene feels like the heart of the season. Everyone dressed in their finest, locking eyes, soft touches, and that moment when Benedict falls for Sophie for the first time, it hit hard. For us women watching, scenes like that don't just hit visually, they hit emotionally too. I mean, haven't we all said, I wish someone would look at me like that? And then there's My Cottage, Benedict's little countryside house. From the photos, it looks super peaceful, but there's also a kind of loneliness there. I think it's not just his place to escape, it's also where his relationship with Sophie is really going to take shape. And when I saw those shots, I thought, this season isn't just about love, it's about finding yourself too. So yeah, it's Benedict's season, but let's be real, we're all a little bit like Sophie, right? Whose season is it? This season is all about Benedict. And yes, finally, we've been waiting a long time for him to have his own story. After Anthony's passion and Colin's romance, it's finally the middle brother's turn. But here's the thing. Benedict isn't the classic, I found love, let's get married kind of guy. He's more bohemian, confused. He lives life through art and freedom, basically us. And that's when Sophie enters his life, with masks, secrets, and an incredible sense of grace. Sophie Beck is a maid, but she's far from ordinary. This girl is strong, smart, and incredibly patient. No matter what, she stands tall. Benedict is drawn not just to her beauty, but to who she is inside. And the secret Sophie keeps, her status, her identity, her past, they add real drama to the story. Sure, it's a fairy tale, but it's like they took Cinderella and rewrote it for Bridgerton. Stronger, more feminist, more like us. Benedict's inner struggles are also at the heart of the season. Unlike the other male characters, he doesn't blindly follow the system. He wants to love, but on his own terms. And his pull towards Sophie breaks down his walls. So yes, it's romantic, but we're also watching real character development. Let's admit it, we're tired of empty love scenes. These two are going through something real, and you can feel it in every scene. And of course, the chemistry between them. When Sophie and Benedict first meet, everything is so electric. There's tension, but also a delicate bond forming. This isn't a they locked eyes and fell in love moment. It's something that builds over time. And as you're watching, you're constantly wondering, is this when he finds out? When is that secret going to explode? That's one of Bridgerton's biggest strengths. It shows love not just as sweet and romantic, but also messy and complex. This season isn't just a love story. It's Benedict's journey of self-discovery, Sophie's fight to be heard. These two complete each other, but first, they have to complete themselves. And I think that's a powerful message, especially for female viewers. Love is wonderful, yes, but you have to learn to be yourself first. That's exactly what Season 4 is about. And that's why it's worth watching. New arrivals, familiar faces. Bridgerton introduces new characters every season, but this one, oh, it's packed. First, Rosamund and Posey Lee arrive in Mayfair. And girls, these two sisters come from totally different worlds. Rosamund is her mother's favorite. Every move is calculated, she's got her eyes on Benedict, and she's seriously goal-driven. She's got major dramas coming from here energy. You know when you're watching and you're like, yeah, she's definitely up to something? You know, that vibe. Posey, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. She's more naive, sweeter, but just as overlooked. Araminta basically ignores her. Sometimes it's like you can barely hear her voice. But that's exactly why she's going to stand out. Because one of Bridgerton's greatest strengths is giving ignored characters a moment to shine. And I have a feeling Posey might be the surprise character of the season. We all love a good underdog story, don't we? Of course, it's not just the new faces. We're also catching up with fan favorites. Kate Sharma is back. Yup, Anthony's wife. I'll admit it, I've missed Kate since season 2. Her intelligence, her confidence, and also her vulnerability, it all feels so real to me. And if anyone's going to be there to support Sophie as she steps into this world, it's definitely Kate. Girl power? Check. And Eloise and Penelope, Their reunion isn't just nostalgic, it's emotional. Penelope's been through a lot because of the whole Lady Whistledown situation. Eloise has grown a ton while trying to find her own way. This season, we're going to see a new kind of balance in their relationship. They're not teenagers anymore. Life is real. Relationships are messy, but their bond is still strong. That dynamic, it's true female friendship, and I think it's one of the most valuable parts of the show. And finally, Queen Charlotte, Brimsley, Lady Violet Bridgerton, the Mondrich couple, they're all here. So the big, colorful, slightly chaotic Bridgerton universe is back in full swing. But here's the great part. The new characters aren't just there for show. Each one actually impacts the story. And as you watch, you can't help but think, what's this character up to? That's why this season isn't just for romance lovers. It's also a treat for those who love some good intrigue. Get ready. How many episodes are in season 4? This season has 8 episodes. And let me tell you, if you're like me and you think, I'll just watch one episode and then suddenly it's 3 a.m., fair warning. The risk of binge watching the whole season in one night is extremely high because every episode feels even more intense than last season. There's romance, there's drama, and the character development goes deeper. It's basically a binge watch trap. Things kick off fast from the first episode. That iconic masquerade ball where Sophie and Benedict meet, it's right at the start. So if you're expecting the season to start slow, forget it. I think they're jumping in much quicker this time. And by the way, it's not just about love in every episode. There's a focus on personal journeys too. It's not just who's going to marry who. It's more like, who am I and what do I want? And that hits especially hard for our age group because, let's face it, we're all kind of trying to find ourselves too, right? That's why these episodes aren't just something you watch, you feel them. The production team clearly went above and beyond this season. The visuals, the costumes, the sets, everything looks like a painting. But it's not just aesthetics. The content is strong too. After every episode, you're left with that feeling of just one more. Sometimes not just because you want to know what happens, but because you want to see those characters again, feel what they're going through. 8 episodes might sound short, but when you look at how full they are, it's enough. Every episode is carefully written, and every scene pushes the story forward.
Now let's move on to the latest updates and news about The Witcher Season 4. Netflix has finally made it official. The Witcher returns for its 4th season on the 30th of October 2025. The biggest change this time is, of course, that Geralt of Rivia will now be played by Liam Hemsworth. After Henry Cavill's legendary performance, fans have been asking one big question: can the new Geralt carry the weight of this universe? The first teaser gives us a glimpse, Hemsworth walking through foggy woods, his medallion glowing, turning slowly toward the monster behind him. The dark tone, the powerful score, and the cinematic atmosphere all show that the series is staying true to its essence. Showrunner Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich confirmed that this season will adapt the final 2 books in the Witcher saga, meaning seasons 4 and 5 will serve as the show's grand finale. Hissrich said, "This season will push our characters beyond their limits," emphasizing that we're entering the most emotionally charged part of the story. Geralt can no longer stay neutral. The world stands on the brink of war, and Ciri is right at the center of it all. If you remember the end of Season 3, Geralt was left gravely wounded and separated from Yennefer and Ciri. Meanwhile, Ciri, lost in the Korath Desert, struggled to survive and to understand her own power. By the finale, she took on a new name, Falka, and joined a band of outlaws known as the Rats. This moment marked her transformation from an innocent princess into a self-determined warrior. In Season 4, Ciri's new identity will shake the very balance of the continent. Over on Yennefer's side, tragedy continues to unfold. After the death of her mentor Tissaia, Yennefer has taken on the role of rebuilding Ereteza and leading what remains of the mage community. According to Hissrich, this season will be about Yennefer confronting her past and asking herself what kind of leader she truly wants to become. It's a chapter of power and loss, and it might just redefine who Yennefer is at her core. Among the new cast members, the most exciting addition is Lawrence Fishburne, who joins the series as Regis. A mysterious barber surgeon with a dark past, Regis is one of the most beloved characters from the Witcher novels. His introduction brings both philosophical depth and an unexpected friendship into Geralt's journey. We'll also see Charlotte Copley Scatterin as the ruthless bounty hunter Leo Bonhart, and James Purefoy as Skellen, a cunning Nilfgaardian spy. In short, Season 4's cast is stacked with star power. As for Geralt, things will never be the same again. After his crushing defeat in Season 3, both his body and soul have been scarred. Once a man of strict neutrality, Geralt now realizes that staying out of politics is no longer an option. When he draws his sword this time, he's not just fighting monsters, he's fighting armies. At the heart of Season 4 is Geralt's evolution from a detached witcher into a man willing to fight for his family. Finding Ciri, protecting her, and reuniting with Yennefer have become his only purpose. This will be his most emotional season yet, but Geralt won't walk this path alone. As always, Jaskier is by his side, his friend and moral compass. He'll also be joined by Milva, a skilled archer who becomes part of Geralt's new team. This season marks the live-action debut of the Hansa Group, Geralt's found family from the books. Hisrich explains, for the first time, Geralt admits he needs help. So The Witcher Season 4 will be defined not just by epic battles, but by emotional bonds. Ciri's journey, meanwhile, takes on a completely new tone. She's no longer running from her destiny, she's creating it. By joining the rats and embracing the name Falka, she's rewriting her own rules in a cruel and lawless world. This marks the beginning of her darkest chapter yet. From the trailer, Freya Allan's performance clearly captures a more wild and liberated Ciri. But whether she's truly given up her powers remains a mystery. According to the producers, fans will finally learn in Season 4 if Ciri's magic is gone forever or just buried deep inside her. Visually, the series is going through a major transformation. The trailer and behind-the-scenes photos reveal a much darker and more mature tone. Desert wastelands, burning villages, ruined cities, and battlefields tainted with magic. It all feels like the calm before an epic finale. The VFX team worked to faithfully bring the magical worlds of Baptism of Fire and the Tower of the Swallow to life, and Hemsworth's sword scenes, driven by his physical power, give Geralt a fresh, intense energy. Of course, the political intrigue returns as well. Emperor Emhyr of Nilfgaard is still hunting for Ciri, but there's a twist. The Ciri at his side is actually an imposter. The real Ciri, hiding under a new identity, begins a separate life that could change everything. This storyline promises not only magic and war, but also betrayal, deception, and strategy. As Hisrich puts it, no one is safe and no destiny is fixed. For Yennefer, Season 4 will be her deepest internal struggle yet. As Ereda's new leader, she must restore order among the mages while dealing with the broken trust left by Vilgefort's betrayal. She's now fighting not only with magic but with politics. After Tissaya's death, Yennefer's sense of responsibility grows heavier, as does her inner chaos. She's no longer just a sorceress. She's becoming a leader, a mother figure, and a savior. As history says, this season is about Yennefer finding her own path. For her, power won't be a gift, it'll be a burden. Meanwhile, Vilgefortz returns as the show's most dangerous villain. In Season 3, we saw only fragments of his plan. Now, we'll learn how long he's been allied with Nilfgaard and the true nature of his connection to Emhyr, Ciri's father. Their secret partnership will ignite a continent-wide war. Hisrich teases, Vilgefort's plan runs deeper than anyone realizes. Expect shocking twists and moral tests for every character. The action in Season 4 is said to be the biggest in the show's history. Behind-the-scenes footage from Netflix shows massive sets, large-scale battle choreography, and hundreds of extras. Geralt's forest battle against Nilfgaardian soldiers, glimpsed briefly in the trailer, has already become a fan favorite. This season will portray not just magic, but the brutal reality of war and the haunting truth that fate cannot be escaped. Another major focus will be the evolving relationships between the core trio Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. Their bond will be more emotional and fragile than ever. As each follows their own path, family remains their only constant. Hisrich explains, at its core, this season is about love, but not an easy kind. Even in war, they must hold on to one another. That line hints at a finale that will be deeply personal and heartbreakingly human. And finally, The Witcher Season 4 marks the beginning of the end. Netflix has confirmed that Season 5 is already in production, and together, these two seasons will conclude the story. Adapted from Baptism of Fire, The Tower of the Swallow, and Lady of the Lake, the final chapters will bring the Witcher saga to a grand, emotional close. From the tone of the trailers, the new cast, and Hemsworth's intense energy, one thing is clear: the magic of The Witcher still burns strong. The White Wolf has returned, but this time, he's walking toward the end of his legend. And there you have it, the three giants of Netflix's 2025 lineup. Stranger Things is nearing its end, Bridgerton is redefining love, and The Witcher is gearing up for its final battle. Now it's your turn. Who do you think will steal the spotlight this year? Geralt, Benedict, or Eleven? Drop your favorite and your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.